Tragedy strikes, accidents happen. Be there when the calls come in. It's back-to-back episodes of Rescue 911. Next on Discovery Health Channel.
This is 911. Do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911. Plus, a moment's inattention could cause death.
Ma'am, calm down.
And one call could save a life on Rescue 911.
When a life is at stake, far from help, we may be called upon to do things we've never done before. As Lindy Kurtz discovered on the morning of November 21st, 1991, at her home in the hills above Redonda, Washington.
That day was my wedding anniversary, and we were looking forward to going out to dinner that night and celebrating. Emily got off to school on time, and Kenny and I had gone and waved goodbye to her. He loves to see the bus come, and he'll just wave frantically and bye-bye and give his sister a kiss. I bathe him every morning about the same time, and Kenny loves to play in his bath. We have a little baby bathtub that we put inside. It's not a protective device at all. It's just something that Kenny can sit in and play with his toys. And I heard a truck coming up the driveway. It was our garbage truck. We had been there close to a month, and for some reason there had not been garbage pickup.
Is there a problem?
He said they had trouble locating us, but now they had the address and he would be our garbage man.
Okay, great. Thank you.
As I rounded the corner, I noticed that it was quiet.
At 9:14 a.m., a call came in to dispatcher Pat Forschler.
Fire Department Medic 1, address the problem. My baby's drowning. Ma'am? 7824 Avenue South, Redondo. Okay, ma'am?
I couldn't understand her. She was just highly emotional, totally hysterical.
Ma'am, calm down. You said your baby is what? Drowning? In a bathtub. He's already blue. Did you get him out of the bathtub? Okay, ma'am. Try to calm down and I'll give you some instructions on what to do. How old is he?
CPR instructions are different for every age. So it was really imperative that I find out how old that child is, because if you give improper instructions, you could cut off the airway, you could crush the chest, because everything is different.
Try to calm down so we can help him.
Tell me to do CPR. Tell me how.
Yes. How old is he?
Not breathing.
He's 13 months old. Okay, what I need you to do is to get him...
Rescue workers with the Federal Way Fire Department were immediately sent to the scene, led by Captain Tom Thorson.
When it is a child, that's something you always dread, because it could be my child. You're a little worried about what you're going to find. Is it going to be something that you can fix, or is it something that's going to be too late?
He's on the floor. He's on the floor.
Tell me CPR.
Okay, what I want you to do is to pinch his nose, and I want you to put your mouth completely over his mouth.
It's my baby.
Give him 2 quick breaths, ma'am.
How many?
Give him 2 quick breaths and see if the chest rises and falls. Okay, ma'am. Okay, we have help on the way.
You have to do whatever you can do to get them to shut up and listen to you. And as soon as you know that you have their attention, that's when you have to go right into instructions, because if you don't, then they lose it again. They'll go right down the tubes again.
Okay, what I need you to do next heel of your hand, of just one hand only on the center of his chest, right between the nipples. And I want you to push down 1 to 1.5 inches about 5 times quickly and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Keep going. Keep going. Keep doing that. Help's on the way. You're doing real good. Keep going.
I just left him for a minute.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breath. Keep going. Keep going. No, you keep going. You have to keep going for him.
She started to give up a couple of times, and I had to get her to continue, because if she didn't continue, then it was over.
Is his chest still rising?
No, there's water coming out.
Okay, good. Turn his head to the side and let the water come out. We want the water to get out of there. Stop the compressions and stop the breath. Turn him to the side. Is he coughing?
No.
Is the water coming out?
When the water started coming out of Kenny's mouth and nose, I thought that might mean that he was already dead. And I was thinking about if anything were to happen to Kenny, I was thinking I would not want to live.
Lindy's husband, Dennis, raced home from work as soon as he heard what had happened.
My worst fear was that Kenny would not be alive. I started thinking about the funeral we'd have to go through, living in the house without Kenny. How would you possibly live in the house that your son had died in?
Are you getting air? Is his chest rising? No. His chest isn't rising.
Within 4 minutes of the call, the fire department arrived at the scene.
Tomorrow, sex is a great mood booster and can drive us to do things we thought we'd never do. But for some, this pleasure becomes an addiction. What pushes sex drive into overdrive? Find out on Sex Mania, tomorrow on Discovery Health Channel.
We didn't get any response, and as I backed up, I could see the mother running towards the front door. She was quite distraught and crying.
Are they there? Let them do it. You did real good. Okay, they're going to help him now. Okay, you did great. Goodbye.
Lindy did exceptionally. She was able to compose herself enough and be able to do what she was told and to continue and keep going. She was great.
He's trying to breathe on his own a little bit here.
Between the dispatcher telling her what to do and the mother doing it, the baby was trying to breathe on his own at that time.
When King County Medic 1 unit arrived, paramedic Tracy White took over Kenny's care.
The baby had respirations and a pulse, but his eyes were fixed and dilated. He was not moving. He had no gag when we intubated him, so he was not showing really good signs.
When I came around the corner and saw the fire truck and the rescue unit, I felt a little lost. I guess I just sensed more urgency at that point in time.
When Dennis arrived, it was a relief to me to see him. But in the moment he looked at Kenny, a sob came out of him.
He was just lifeless on the floor, and I remember thinking that Kenny was dead. I'm not a very emotional person. I keep everything in check, and I can remember grabbing my wife, and we stood and wept.
2, 3, ready? Right. Okay.
13-month-old Kenny was taken by air ambulance to the nearest trauma center. There was no room in the helicopter for his parents, so they made the 35-minute trip by car.
I had my fists clenched and kept hitting my legs thinking, how could this happen? How could I leave him for a moment? I told Dennis, if anything happened to my son, I love him so much. He's so precious.
The little boy was admitted to the Children's Hospital and Medical Center under the care of Dr. Dina Brownstein.
You can't always tell right away how seriously they've been injured. Children don't tolerate low blood oxygen levels as well as adults. And when they are deprived of oxygen, they very quickly have organ damage, perhaps the most important organ being the brain.
When Kenny was transferred to ICU, he wasn't breathing on his own. His future was uncertain.
We didn't know if he was going to have brain damage. We didn't know if he was going to live at that point in time. We didn't know anything, and so we began to watch.
Dennis and I stayed with Kenny all day. They allowed us to hold Kenny's hand and talk to him and sing to him. Approximately 9:30 at night, I was standing by Kenny's bedside and Kenny woke up. And he sat right up and he started talking to us, Dada, Mama. And it was the most precious moment to know that our baby was going to be all right.
Within 24 hours, Kenny was released from the hospital without any sign of permanent injury.
If you have an infant, you cannot leave them alone, not even for a moment. Don't become distracted by the telephone or by any other thing to take you away. In just a matter of a few moments, I could have lost my baby.
We're very thankful for everybody that was involved, from Pat, the operator at 911, to the firemen that made it here and the paramedics. I'm very thankful to have another chance with Kenny.
I'm going to actually survey the scene, make sure that it's safe for me to approach the victim before I...
Shortly after Kenny's accident, Dennis and Lindy took a child CPR class, which they had been planning to do since before Kenny was born.
I'm just hoping that this will help convey the importance to all parents to learn first aid and CPR. It's vital. I'd like to see it become a part of prenatal care.
CPR is something that everyone should learn and everyone should know. You might not think you'd ever be in a situation where you need to use it, but you never know. It can save a life.
Next, step inside the command center where the calls for help are answered and meet the real-life heroes who save lives. Stay tuned for another episode of Rescue 911, next on Discovery Health Channel. Real life, medicine, miracles.
Mr. Shapiro, step out of the car, please.